Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, you connect on an epiphany, a mind explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore. Please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description. And if you want something for the holidays, like a flower skull, this is something I just said, why not try? Came out rather cool. Lots of different skulls, pyramids. My chair is covering up paintings. Miss Freya was sitting there, and then I had to get up. So maybe she'll come back. Or Odin, my kitty cats. But if you're interested in any kind of artwork, I'm working on really cool Star Trek Enterprise and a Vader. It's coming out really sick. I do commission hyper realistic pencil drawings, not with Prismacolors, just graphite. Check out my website, alleycatcreations211.com. If it's not up there, you see, this is because I'm broke and I have to pay for things that I can't afford. My website isn't that expensive, nor is the domain, but it costs. Um, I'm trying to figure that out. So if it's not up, hopefully it is. I think I have some days to figure that out. Yeah, that will be hopefully up for you to see. If not, please email me, let me know. I'll send you pictures. In the meantime, just, oh, she sees a buggy. Um, yeah, anywho, gotta love everything costs money. Everything. Trying to manifest a world that I live in, not having any of that. Fun times. So I'm reading the Secret Doctrine. Because of the length of this stanza, I cut it up into two parts. Um, yeah. So we're going to pick up from the last time, the last section. Um, so yeah, sorry, have to grab a tissue and pause for a second. Hang on. I'm back. It's the official day of fall, and of course, you know what happens in fall. For me, seasonal allergies is a preponderance of joy. Not sure, a lot of leaves, a lot of mold. Today it rained, thankfully, after so many days of not raining. We're droughty here and my grass is dying, and that's a whole nother level of stuff that my body reacts to. Fun times. So, and let me just put this out here. Madame Blavatsky talks about a lot of things that I cannot pronounce because of my mouth. Many of you who have been on my channel for a long time know such things about my projection, my words, my dyslexia. Um, Others not so much, as somebody was commenting on the flag that's above me. As I'm in divine neutrality, I don't pick a side anymore. I'm not on anybody's side. I'm in the middle, and then I choose what my heart desires. That might not be yours, but my political associations should have nothing to do with the content of the work, because I am in it for the service of others and humanity. And we're all entitled to our perceptions. And please go check out my other spiritual soul advices and other things that I do that will describe me as a human being incarnated as something higher in density. So just to let you guys know, if that word up there and that my neon sign over there offends you, why is that triggering you, and how can you go and heal that trigger? Just saying, I'm not trying to be mean. It's just a word. Don't let it affect you. You affect your reality. I'm here to read a book. Why are you worried about that? I don't know. But if that's okay, you didn't know. I answered that question in the one of the other previous videos I just said. I'm here to teach, give my insights, expose you to books, get you out of the one book paradigm that everybody is latching onto at this moment in time in history. It's time, space, time. I'm trying to get you to open up your minds. And Madame Blavatsky does that. I don't agree with everything she says, but she's pretty on it with a lot of things. So, picking up from the last time, how are the real Manusharas born? The Manas with minds, how are they made? The Father call to their help their own fire, which is the fire which burns in earth. The spirit of the earth called to his help the solar fire. These three produced in their joint efforts a good rupa. It could stand, walk, run, recline, and fly, yet it was still but a shaila, a shadow with no sense. Here our explanation again becomes necessary in the light and with the help of the exoteric added to the esoteric scriptures. The Manshuras, men, and the Manas are here equivalent to the Chaldean Adam, this term not meaning at all the first man, as with the Jews, or one solitary individual, but mankind collectively, as with the Chaldeans and Assyrians. It is the four orders or classes of Dhyan Kohans out of the seven, says the commentary, who were the progenitors of the concealed man, the subtle inner man. The La, or the moon, the lunar spirits, were, as already stated, only the ancestors of his form, of the model according to which nature began her external work upon him. Thus primitive man was, when he appeared, only a senseless bruta, or a phantom. This creation was a failure, the reason of which will be explained in the commentary on Sloka. This attempt was again a failure. It allegories, we can't, that word doesn't come out. The vanity of physical nature's unaided attempts to construct even a perfect animal, let alone man. For the fathers, the lower angels, are all nature spirits, and the higher elementals also possess an intelligence of their own. But this is not enough to construct a thinking man. Living fire was needed, the fire which gives the human mind its self-perception, and self-consciousness, or manas. And the progeny of Parvaka and Suchi are the animal electric and solar fires, which create animals and could thus furnish but a physical living constitution to that first astral model of man. The first creators then were the Pygmalions of primeval man. They failed to animate the statue intellectually. The stanza we shall see is very suggestive. It explains the mystery of and fills the gap between the informing principle in man, the higher self or human monad, and the animal monad, both one and the same. Although the former is endowed with divine intelligence, the latter was instinctual faculty only. How is the difference to be explained and the presence of the higher self in the accounted for? The sons of Mahat are the quickeners of the human plant. They are the waters falling upon the arid soil of latent life and the spark that vivifies the human animal. They are the lords of spiritual life eternal, in the beginning, in the second race. Some of the lords only breathed of their essence into Manushya, men, and some took in man their abode. This shows that not all men became incarnations of the divine rebels, but only a few among them. The remainder had their fifth principle simply quickened by the spark thrown into it, which accounts for the great difference between the intellectual capacities of man and races. Had not the sons of Mahat, speaking allegorically, skipped the intermediate worlds in their impulse toward intellectual freedom, the animal man would never have been able to reach upward from this earth and obtain through self-exertion his ultimate goal. The cyclic pilgrimage would have to be performed through all the planes of existence half unconsciously, if not entirely so, as in the case of the animals. It is owing to this rebellion of intellectual life against the morbid inactivity of pure spirit that we are what we are, self-conscious, thinking men with the capabilities and attributes of God's in us, for good as much as for evil. Hence, the rebels are our saviors. Let the philosopher ponder well over this, and more than one mystery will become clear to him. It is only by the attractive force of the contrasts that the two opposites, spirit and matter, can be cemented on earth and smelted in the fire of self-conscious experience and suffering, find themselves wedded in eternity. This will reveal the meaning of many hereto incomprehensible allegories, foolishly called fables. It explains, to begin with, the statement made in Primander that the heavenly man, the son of the Father, who partook of the nature and essence of the seven governors, or creators and rulers of the material world, peeped through the harmony and breaking through the seven circles of fire, made manifest the downward born nature. It explains every verse in the Hermetic narrative, as also the Greek allegory of Prometheus. Sorry, guys. Whoa. Most important of all, it explains that many allegorical accounts about the wars in heaven, including that of Revelation with respect to the Christian dogma of the fallen angels, it explains the rebellion of the oldest and highest angels and the meaning of their being cast down from heaven into the depths of hell. Matter. It even solves the recent perplexity of the Assyriologists who expressed their wonder through the late George Smith. Quote, my first idea of this part of the rebellion, he says, was that the wars with the powers of evil preceded the creation. I now think it followed the account of the fall. In this work, Mr. George Smith gives an engraving from an early Babylonian cylinder of the sacred tree, the serpent man and woman. The tree has 7 branches, 3 on the man's side, 4 on that of the female. These branches are typical of the 7 root races, in the third of which, at its very close, occurred the separation of the sexes and the so-called fall into generation. The 3 earliest races were sexless, then hermaphrodite, the other 4 male and female as distinct from each other. The dragon, says Mr. G. Smith, which in the Chaldean account of the creation leads man to sin, is the creation of Tiamat, the living principle of the sea, or chaos, which was opposed to the deities of the creation of the world. This is an error. The dragon is the male principle, or phallus personified, or rather animalized, and Tiamat, the embodiment of the spirit of chaos, of the deep or abyss, in the female principle, the womb. The spirit of chaos and disorder refers to the mental protrusion which is led to. It is the sensual, attractive, magnetic principle which fantasies and seduces, the ever-living, active element which throws the whole world into disorder, chaos, and sin. The serpent seduces the woman, but it is the latter who seduces man, and both are included in the karmic curse, though only as a natural result of the cause produced, says George Smith. It is clear that the dragon is included in the curse for the fall, and that the gods, the Elohim, jealous at seeing the man of clay becoming a creator in his own turn, like all the animals, invoked on the head of the human race all the evils which afflict humanity. Wisdom and knowledge shall injure him. He shall have family quarrels. He will anger the gods. He shall submit to tyranny. He shall be disappointed in his desires. He shall pour out useless prayers. He shall commit future sin. No doubt subsequent lines continue this topic, but again, our narrative is broken, and it reopens only where the gods are preparing for war with the powers of evil, which are led by Tiamat, the woman. The Babylonian Legend of Creation, page 92. This account is omitted in Genesis for monotheistic purposes, but it is a mistaken policy born, no doubt, of fear and regard for dogmatic religion and its superstitions, to have sought to restore the Chaldean fragments by Genesis, whereas it is the latter far younger than any of the fragments which ought to be explained by the former. The breath, human monad, needed a form, the fathers gave it. The breath needed a gross body, the earth molded it. The breath needed the spirit of life, the solar lias, breathed it into its form. The breath needed a mirror of its body, astral shadow. We gave it our own, said the Dianus. The breath needed a vehicle of desires, karma, rupa. It has it, said the drainer of the waters. The breath needs a mind to embrace the universe. We cannot give that, said the fathers. I never had it, said the spirit of the earth. The form would be consumed were I to give it mine, said the great solar fire. Man remained an empty, senseless bhutta. Thus have the boneless given life to those who became later men with bones in the third race. As a full explanation is found in stanza 5, a few remarks will now suffice. The father, a primitive physical man, or of his body, is the vital electric principle residing in the sun. The moon is its mother because of the mysterious power in the moon, which has a decided an influence upon human gestation and generation, which it regulates as it has on the growth of plants and animals. The wind or ether, standing in this case for the agent of transmission by which those influences are carried down from the two luminaries and diffused upon earth, is referred to as a nurse, while spiritual fire alone makes of man a divine and perfect entity. Now, what is that spiritual fire? In alchemy, it is hydrogen in general, while in esoteric actuality, it is the emanation of the ray which proceeds from its nominum, the Dzyan of the first element. Hydrogen is gas only on our terrestrial plane, but even in chemistry, hydrogen would be the only existing form of matter in our sense of the term, and is very nearly allied to protyle, which is our lion. It is the father and generator to, so to say, or rather the upadi basis of both air and water, and is fire, air, and water, in fact, one under three aspects, hence of the chemical and alchemical trinity. In the world of manifestation or matter, it is the objective symbol and the material emanation from the subjective and purely spiritual emanation being in the region of nomina. Well might Godfrey, Higgins, have compared hydrogen to and even identified it with the two on the one of the Greeks. For as he remarks, hydrogen is not water, though it generates it. Hydrogen is not fire, though it manifests or creates it. Nor is it air, though air may be regarded as a product of the union of water and fire, since hydrogen is found in the aqueous element of the atmosphere. It is 3 in 1. If one studies comparative theogony, it is easy to find that the secret of these fires was taught in the mysteries of every ancient people, preeminently in Samothrace. There is not the smallest doubt that the Kabari, the most arcane of all the ancient deities, gods and men, great deities and titans, are identical with the Kumaras and Rudas, headed by Kriya, a Kumara also. This is quite evident even exoterically, and these Hindu deities were like the Kabari, the personified sacred fires of the most occult powers of nature. The several branches of the Aryan race, the Asiatic and the European, the Hindu and the Greek, did their best to conceal their true nature, if not their importance. As in the case of the Kumaras, the number of the Kabari is uncertain. Some say that there were 3 or 4 only, others say 7. Ashirosa, I'm not pronouncing these right. Camillus and may very well stand for the alter egos of the 4 Kumaras. Sanat Kumara Sananda, Jesus, Anka, and Santana. The former deities whose reputed father was Vulcan, who often confounded with the Dioscuri, Corybantes, Anases, just as the Kumara whose reputed father is Brahma, or rather the flame of his wrath, which promoted him to perform the 9th or Kumar creation, resulting in Ruda or Siva, and the Kumaras were confounded with the Asuras, the Rudras, and the Pitras, for the simple reason that they are all one, correlative forces and fires. There's no space to describe these fires and their real meaning there, though we may attempt to do so in the 3rd and 4th volumes of the work are ever published. Meanwhile, a few more explanations may be added. The foregoing are all mysteries which must be left to the personal intuition of the student for solution rather than described. If he would learn something of the secret of the fires, let him turn to certain works of the alchemists, who very correctly connect fire with every element, as do the occultists. The reader must remember that the ancients considered religion and their natural sciences, along with philosophy, to be closely and inseparably linked together. I'm not getting that name, it's Greek. Was the son of Apollo, Asclepius? Saying it wrong, I know. I'm trying. The son or fire of life, at once Helios, Pythias, and the god of oracular wisdom. In exoteric religions, as much as in esoteric philosophy, the elements, especially fire, water, and air, are made the progenitors of our 5 physical senses, and hence are directly connected in the occult way with them. These physical senses pertain even to a lower creation than the one called in the Puranas. Not getting that word either. Or secondary creation. Have an imagination. Liquid fire proceeds from indiscrete fire, says the occult axiom. The circle is the thought, the diameter or the line is the word, and their union is life. In Kabbalah, Beth Kol, I have a card of that, is the daughter of the divine voice, a primordial light. Shnikta, in the Puranas and Hindu exotericism, Vach, the voice, is the female logos of Brahma, a permutation of Adadi, primordial light. And if Beth Kol in Jewish mysticism is an articulate preternatural voice from heaven revealing to the chosen people the sacred traditions and laws, it is only because Vach was called before Judaism, the mother of the Vedas, who entered into the rishis and inspired them by her revelations, just as Beth Kol is said to have inspired the prophets of Israel and the Jewish high priests, and both exist to this day in their respective sacred symbologies because of the ancients' associated sound of speech with the ether of space, of which sound is the characteristic, hence fire, water, air are the primordial cosmic trinity. I am thy thought, thy God, more ancient than the most principal, the light that radiates within darkness, chaos, and the shining word of God, sound, is the son of the deity. And that's from Primander. I'm going to put a pause right here. In the Law of One, Book 3, the video I did the other day, I talk about, Ra brings us up, that in Sanskrit and Hebrew language, there are certain vowel sounds and tones that I'm so curious as to how to pronounce it on the right tone, scale, vibratory state, and frequency of a human voice. We all have different voices, different pitches and tones within our vocal cords. Where do we need to achieve to actually be one in harmonious with creation itself? Yes, Freya. Co-host number 4. Hopefully you heard that because it was damn cute. Miss Freya. Thus, we have to study well the primary creation before we can understand the secondary. The first race had 3 rudimentary elements in it, and no fire as yet, because with the ancients, the evolution of man and the growth and development of his spiritual and physical senses were subordinate to the evolution of the elements on the cosmic plane of this earth. All proceeds from a very long Indian word, the evolution of the creative and sentient principles in the gods, and even of the so-called creative deity himself. This is found in the names and appellations given to Vishnu in exoteric scriptures as the proto-logos, the Orphic. He is called Purvaija, maybe, totally butchering it, pre-genetic, and then the other names connect him to their descending order more and more with matter. The following order on parallel lines may be found in the evolution of the elements and the senses, or in cosmic terrestrial man, or spirit immortal physical man. Ether, hearing, sound. Air, touch, sound and touch. Fire or light, sight, sound, touch, and color. Water, taste, sound, touch, color, taste. Earth, smell, sound, touch, color, taste, and smell. As seen, each element adds to its own characteristic those of its predecessor, as each race adds a characterizing sense of the preceding race. The same is true in the septenary creation of man, who evolves gradually in 7 stages and on the same principles as will be shown further on. Thus, while gods or Dhyan Kohans, devas, proceed from the first cause, which is not para-Brahman, for the latter is the all cause and cannot be referred to as the first cause, which first cause is called in the Brahmanical books Jagadhyani, the womb of the world. Mankind emanates from these active agents in cosmos. But men during the first and the second races were not physical beings, but merely rudiments of the future man. Brutus, which proceeded from Brutad, origin or the original place whence sprung the elements, hence they proceeded with all the rest from the very large word I can't pronounce. The place whence is the origination and into which the resolution of all things, as explained by the commentator. Whence all our physical senses, whence even the highest created deity itself in our philosophy, as one with the universe, whether we call him Brahma, Iswara, or Purusha, he is a manifested deity, hence created or limited and conditioned. This is easily proven even from the exoteric teachings. After being called the incognizable, eternal Brahma, neutral or abstract, the Punda Rikashi, not getting that, supreme and imperishable glory, once that instead of the Senda something Rupa, changeless or immutable nature he is addressed as something Rupa. Again, I am not embarrassing myself to just butcher words and be rude. I'd rather you read the book and get that translation for yourself. Both single and manifold, he, the cause, becomes merged with his own effects, and his names is placed in esoteric order, show the following descending scale. Marpurusha or Paramatman, Supreme Spirit. Atman or Protologos, the living spirit of nature. Two words I cannot pronounce, spiritual or intellectual soul, one with the senses. Brudaman, the living or life soul. Another word I am not pronouncing. Embodied soul or the universe of spirit and matter. Another one that's this big. False perception material universe. The last name means something perceived and conceived of owing to false and erroneous apprehension as a material form, but in fact only Maya, illusion, as all in our physical universe. It is strict analogy with its attributes in both the spiritual and material worlds that the evolution of Dhyan Kohanic essences takes place, the characteristics of the latter being reflected in their turn in man collectively and in each of his principles, every one of which contains in itself in the same progressive order or portion of their various fires and elements. And that will end stanza 4, thankfully. I do apologize, but as we already have been through book 1, I don't pronounce certain words, and even in Awaspe, I skip a lot of stuff because I'm not getting frustrated trying to pronounce stuff that I know that will not project well out of my mouth. Not because I'm not avid in trying. I do have projection issues. I have bad, horrible teeth, no back teeth, and I have this whole thing falls down. So when I pronounce certain things, as Freya can contest, and Odin's over there. I would have had coffee, but I have to go to sleep soon. And I need something to keep me awake. Don't judge. Her work is controversial for a lot of reasons, but there is a lot to this that if you put in a lot of your own going within, there's a lot here that makes a lot of sense. And if you listen to a lot of channelers and people who do dowsing rods and stuff of that nature, a lot of her stuff does hold some weight. It's up to you to discern if you heart align with stuff. If not, not everything here aligns with me. I am not into that, the Hindu paradigm, though I do respect it because the Norse is just about identical in a lot of ways to the beginning story, to the understandings, to the physics and metaphysics that they have crazy knowledge of, that how the hell would they know about entanglement? But yet they describe it in the Eddas and the sagas. Now, you can only attest that the social memory complexes of consciousness this is kind of describing coming down and forming what was already needing to be engineered to go forward. As I'm listening to a lot of channeled work, a lot more closely, picking and dabbling in different people's stuff, a common theme that comes up with her work is that we're so focused on what beings manipulated humans to genetically alter us. For many of us that are in the awareness, they actually helped us along in our evolution. That's not to say that there was entities and beings who didn't manipulate for the negative polarity, and I believe they have, but I don't necessarily believe that was a bad thing. Because we wouldn't be here if that was the case. We wouldn't come this far in our evolution. Everything is all of divine timing and God's will, and that's all of our wills combined. Um, it's very interesting, and next time in stanza 5, we're going to read the evolution of the second race. This should be quite interesting, which her stuff makes sense. Because a lot of us, if we really were to go back into our time space now moment to recall our other selves, a lot of us have already been through these cycles. Believe it or not, I can recall being a giant. I'm more of the Norse flavor because that's where a lot of my time was spent. But I recall going to Asgard. And the fact of the matter is, whether you want to believe it in or not, that's up to you to decide. But all of us have ventured in many of these places, and we're in many of these paradigms. Are you remembering? She's gonna kill me. So and I'm glad I got it on film. Someone was like, "Oh, little Thor only eats. Does he do tricks?" I got them playing Red Dot, but I just find pure joy in watching them do their cat thing. Anywho, sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Let's go within. Please be the lighthouse, the shoulder, seed your truths, and make sure you're doing the work on yourself today because it's very vital and very much needed. I hope all of you have a beautiful start to your week. Be the light for your own selves. And I hope to see you on the next one. I know this was a lot shorter, but if I would have done it the last video, it would have been almost 2 hours long, and no thank you. I work now during the day. I still have so much to do, figuring out how to get more income because I'm drowning and I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like trying not to think about it and seeing what as pulling things that can attract to me. I don't know. But in the meantime, bear with me. Thank you all for your support, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.